Welcome. You are listening to the Be a Better Being podcast hosted by Michelle Zellner and Sasha Berscheid. Michelle and Sasha are here to give you information and inspiration to help you live your healthiest, happiest lives. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you for listening in to another episode of the Be a Better Being podcast. I'm Michelle Zellner, your host, and my beautiful sidekick, co-host Sasha is here today. Happy Monday, my dear.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, as am I, and I'm super grateful for you and your network and all of the things that you are looking at and listening to because you have stumbled upon a really incredible human being, and we are incredibly grateful and fortunate that he has joined us today for this conversation. So I'm going to let you do the intros and kind of steer this one, and I'm going to be a little observer interjecting here and there.
You guys, holy cannoli. I am so beyond blown away that I get to introduce to you Parker. Parker is one of my heroes. I have mad respect for Parker. He is what I like to call a change agent. And I cannot wait to share Parker's story, Parker's product that he has created, his why, and his passion. So, Parker, say hello.
Hello. Excited to be here.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. So, I'm going to ask you this. Prior to your daughter, were you as interested in nutrition as you are now?
Yeah, I definitely was. Personally, I manage an autoimmune condition and I've had a lot of success with food as medicine, and that kind of kicked off my what I call my health journey. And then when my daughter was born, it kind of flipped my mindset, and I really wanted to make a difference, and that is what ultimately gave life to Lovebird.
So for those of you who don't know Parker, because I did not do the best job introducing him, he created a healthy and nutritious cereal called Lovebird. And that is how I found him, was when I was on my own journey with Sasha's 7 Days 2 years ago up until today. And I found it, and it is scrumdiddlyumptious, and I can eat it. Like, it's approved. Like, I love it. It's incredible. So Parker has this incredible product called Lovebird, and on Instagram it's Eat Lovebird, and it just has blown me away, the passion that a father has to support his daughter. Michelle, you had a question?
Yeah, I want to interject just really quickly because Parker, it is fascinating that you have autoimmune issues. We just had another guest earlier this month, Juliet, talking about her autoimmune conditions, and very often it is way more dramatically more women that are affected by autoimmune disorders. So could you just give a little bit of background on that, your own health journey with autoimmune, and then tell us a little bit about your daughter, because obviously that is what sparked this passion to create this cereal in the first place.
Definitely. For me, my autoimmune journey, I feel like the check engine light was on for a while and I just wasn't paying attention to my body. Always kind of writing it off like, oh, I just don't have energy. It's just a matter of motivation, and didn't really know what feeling great was actually like. And then discovered through kind of experimenting with food and following some people in the space and learning from their journey and kind of joining the community, helped kind of reclaim my normal and reestablish that. And so food was a huge part of that, kind of finding out what was inflammatory for me, would result in flare ups, and some pretty tough days with fatigue and joint pain and all of that. And just get to a better spot, and kind of what you want to call remission or whatever. But it comes and goes a little bit, but on average, it's much better. But it was just getting serious about diet and taking my life back. And then when Yuki was born, my daughter, just really lit a fire for me. As Sasha said, kind of this agent. A little bit of other background is that I used to work at Big Food, making all of the crappy cereal from Lucky Charms to Trix, to even some of the quote unquote healthier stuff like Honey Nut Cheerios. And so I kind of saw that world and was trying to be a change agent within, and actually did some cool things there within the realm of food wellness. But ultimately, when Yuki was born, it was like a no-brainer to go and make that change because I think big food is beholden to profit and their business model as is. And for me to really change the system and kind of fix our broken food system, like I had to do that myself and reframe how business is actually conducted with not just a focus on, the profit and loss statement and what's at the very bottom, but how do you really make a difference? And when Yuki was born, I really felt this weight of responsibility and just a calling to make a difference. And I did it the best way I knew how, which was through food. And as becoming a father and doing some genetic testing with my autoimmune condition, I was exposed to kind of children's hospitals and kind of the kiddos battling cancer. So that is a huge component of what I do at Lovebird. The mission is to clean up cereal, which is a huge task within itself, and ultimately junk food and other things within the grocery store, but also fight childhood cancer. So we give 20% of our profit to fight childhood cancer. And I would say a lot of companies make statements like that. 20% is one, A, is just really large for companies to donate. And I wanted something that made my business brain feel uncomfortable, which made me feel like I was doing something right. Uh, but it's actually something we're committed to. I think you'll see brands big and small that say we donate 1% to save the rainforest or 1% to save the whales, but they never actually wind up doing that. And so with Lovebird, I made it a point to put profit in the back seat and put purpose in the front seat. So even in our first year of business where we didn't make a profit, we gave $8,000 to fight childhood cancer because it's what gets me up in the day. I think everyone has bad days and good days, and starting a cereal company in your basement during a pandemic, there were a lot of dark days, but that light kind of gave me the inspiration and kind of passion to push forward. And so it's at the forefront of whatever Lovebird does, and will remain so.
That is incredible. I got so many goosebumps and chills during all of that. And I mean, truly, I mean, Sasha has pinned it. You are incredibly, definitely a change maker. And yeah, I share your ideas about big food. Unfortunately, in the effort to feed the world, which we can, it has dramatically come at the expense of the quality.
Hmm.
I
So.
agree. And Parker, like it just I had goosebumps the entire time. I had tears in my eyes that whole time. I was just like wagging my little dog tail in just love. And my dude, good for you. For real. Like, when was the last time that someone said, Parker, I am so proud of you? Because you know what? I am so proud of you, my dude. Like, for real. Number one, your purpose and your passion, the fact that those are the forefront, you will always be successful because you are fueled with the right intent. It is not over profit. It is about educating and awareing and creating this awareness for others, but then additionally allowing children to have cereal. You know, one of my favorite fondest memories is waking up in on the weekend and eating cereal and watching the cartoons. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, Michelle?
Oh,
Because I didn't have
absolutely.
cable.
I
I didn't
I
have
would go to
cable.
bed looking forward to eating cereal in the morning.
Yeah. And so to know that there is something out there because someone was bold enough and brave enough to go against what is the norm to be able to create something for children to continue to have those memories. Dude, you're incredible. Incredible, Parker.
Yeah,
So thank
thank
you.
you. I mean, I think thank you to you both in the community that's emerged around Lovebird. I mean, I think I created Lovebird and the cereal, but it would go nowhere and fly nowhere without you all. And I've been so humbled and so grateful that there's just this community of like-minded people that take their health seriously and want real change in our food system. And they're really what makes Lovebird fly. I'm always blown away from the emails or Instagram messages I get. Because working on this alone in your basement, you're like, does anyone even care about this? And so I remember like turning on the website thinking that like all these orders are going to start flowing in and like no like nothing happened, and then like slowly the community started to discover it and learn about it. And I just think there's a huge desire for products like this because I mean ideally we'd all cook our own food, have our own garden, but a lot of that's not sustainable for our lifestyle. And so we need some convenience. And I think cereal, it's a $9 billion category, and it's filled with a lot of toxic things like refined grains, refined sugar, weird vegetable oils, and things like that. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can still have convenience and real food and real good tasting food. You don't have to make those sacrifices. So that community that surrounded and helps Lovebird fly is so important, and I can't thank you all enough.
That's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, and I hope that us helping you spread your message just creates a larger community because as somebody who's been doing what I do for 25 years, working with very busy parents who want to feed their children convenient but healthy food, and there really aren't options because, as
Hmm.
you said, even the big cereal that's touted as healthy, it's not. I
Hmm.
stopped eating cereal probably 20 years ago because even the healthy options weren't healthy. And
Hmm.
it just really just made me want to eat more sugar because that's what cereal generally is. So if you start your day with sugar, you're going to eat sugar the whole day. And in addition, you might be getting some nutrients because they fortified it, but all the other garbage that's coming with it, it's definitely not worth it. So,
Hmm.
yeah, you are going to change so many people's lives because they can find convenience and feel good about what they're putting in their children's bodies and probably their own bodies too.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So, Parker, one thing that really s- is what struck me about you is something that I feel like is within me too. I became the person that I am because of my daughter.
Mm.
So my daughter has autism. She has level 3 autism, and she has pushed me to become a better person. Now, I could have taken it one way or I could have taken it another way. I decided to take it and go down the journey that I'm on currently to become the best and to
Hmm.
show up the best version of myself for that little girl every single day. And when I found you, because that's literally what I did, and now you're stuck with me forever, Parker. But when I found you, that's what hit me the hardest was here's a man who is a father who is educated and intelligent and wants to be the change. Can you tell me and tell everyone out there a little bit about the beautiful relationship that is between you and Yuki?
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things in life, like until you become a parent, you just don't really understand. And I think for men, it's a little bit different because we don't carry the child through pregnancy, right? We don't have that relationship. But for me, it was the moment she was born and I was holding her in my hands and I was just in pure shock and awe. And in that moment, it made me rethink everything I was doing and what was important and what was not important. And she turned 3. Her birthday was 3 days ago, actually. So she turned 3 recently, and I just had this moment where I was just like, time is flying by. But this relationship I have with her is the most precious thing I have in life. She's like so special. It's so awesome to see her learn and grow. She's in a three-nager stage right now, which is a little challenging. So I'm trying to learn to appreciate all the clinginess that will probably be gone at some point. But I think similar to what you said, Sasha, right? Like it just changes your perspective. It's putting someone truly ahead of yourself. It's some form of love that you never thought you weren't even really aware of, right? And for me, that manifested in love and protection and just making sure that she and other kids through Lovebird had every chance they could to kind of have full lives and reach their potential. And so it's a relationship I cherish. I feel so incredibly lucky to have her in my life through the ups and downs as she grows and develops. But it just reframed everything for me. And I'm just looking forward to growing with her and learning from her. And to your point, she's made me definitely a better person and made me definitely more well-rounded and empathetic and patient as of late. But she's amazing.
If you don't mind, now this is complete. It's totally okay if this is off limits. But what did the journey look like when Yuki was diagnosed? And how did that turn, like the whole mission behind Lovebird and childhood leukemia and all of that, like how, because there is a huge reason why you were in the industry before, right? It
Hmm.
was to show you what was a part of it, and then to say, okay, Parker, go. Like, you know what needs to be changed. It just seems like everything, when, I hate the saying, but it's so true, everything happened for a reason, right?
Hmm.
And so how did all of this come together? How did it come to fruition, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so Yuki actually was never diagnosed with childhood cancer, so that's sort of a separate thing. That really came about through my own journey, and I've done a lot of genetic testing for my autoimmune condition. So I've spent, oddly enough, a lot of time in children's hospitals. So the specific moment where I had that light bulb idea was sitting in a waiting room in a children's hospital, and I'm 6'5", so I'm tall, sitting next to a bunch of other kids who are, 3 to 4 to 5 to 7 or 8. And one little girl was writing an inspirational quote who was fighting cancer, and it was like, "You're stronger than you know." And that moment really reframed kind of what I wanted to do and the difference I wanted to make. And that was a little seed that was planted. And then when Yuki was born and Lovebird, kind of the mission came about and the difference I wanted to make, those two things really dovetailed together, and that's what created the fight against childhood cancer for Lovebird. And I would say this pat like I thought I had an understanding, and similar to becoming a parent, you just don't know until you get deeper into it. And this past September, which is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, I got really close to families that are battling childhood cancer, and the strain and the stress it puts on not only the child who just is doing the best they can, but the parents that have to go through all of those things, and especially during a pandemic where they couldn't be in the operating room, or they couldn't be in the hospital room, or only one of them could. And so September was really an eye opener for me of what that battle looks like, and only reinforce that fight against childhood cancer for Lovebird. And, I'm trying to do everything I can to help those people out because it is the number one cause of death by disease for children. And it's historically underfunded at about 4% of the budget. And so there's a lot of families and kiddos out there that need help, and they're not getting it from one place. And so with Lovebird, I'm trying to do my part.
Dude, I'm often left speechless. I'm gonna let Michelle take over because I'm literally speechless.
Well, yeah, I think actually, Parker, that makes your story and your passion even more remarkable because it isn't your child who's affected by this.
Hmm.
And yet, your love for your daughter and her to want to be the healthiest, happiest human she can be, as well as being with kids who don't have that same outlook currently, sparking this kind of passion. Because I don't know if anybody's aware, but to just give up your maybe normal 9 to 5 job or whatever it was to go start a company of any kind, but much less a food product company, is incredibly overwhelming. And there are so many things that go into it. I would actually love to know, like, how you did the research. How did you figure out
Hmm.
how to make these ingredients that are healthy and not full of all the garbage and taste delicious, and just even just the whole process of product creation.
Hmm.
Like, explain that, because I think it's incredibly an incredible undertaking. And
Hmm.
for somebody again whose actual child is not affected really,
Hmm.
to want to do that, I think is even more inspirational.
Hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a journey, and I think it started with my personal health journey. And I've tried they're called diets, which I just think is the wrong word, but uh, different food diets that kind of help my autoimmune condition. And one I discovered was the autoimmune protocol, which is kind of a subset of paleo. And the whole point of it is to remove all of the potentially inflammatory ingredients in foods, and then kind of test and learn what works for your body. And as I looked at packaged food, a lot of the food products have really inflammatory ingredients. They're essentially processed to remove all nutrition. And then, as you mentioned earlier, they're fortified by law to add vitamins back into it because everything's lost from it during the refining of the whether it's a corn flour to a cornstarch to cornstarch number 6, or cassava into tapioca starch into a pre-gel tapioca starch. And so that was really the idea, to apply the principles of a anti-inflammatory diet to packaged food, knowing that that will do the biggest impact. And so at a simple level, it's removing the bad stuff, the inflammatory stuff, the refined grains, refined sugar, refined oils, all of the things in there that make you eat kind of tasteless things like natural flavors and high potency sweeteners that essentially just trick your brain to overeat anyways. But then it was a question of like, what would you put into the cereal? And I wanted to start with kind of a healthy carb in cassava and a whole food flour that is rich in prebiotic fiber, but is also 100% allergen friendly, naturally gluten free, and is a resistant starch to help balance blood sugar. I wanted to use coconut for healthy fat, and also some fiber to balance your blood sugar as well. And then just sweetened by nature, right? Like honey is pretty awesome. We've been eating it for many, many, many of thousands of years, and we've evolved with it. And it's an amazing ingredient, one of the original superfoods. But a lot of honey cereal products out there, or honey packaged food products, actually have zero honey in it. It's a natural flavor combined with refined sugar for sweetness. And so it was actually pretty simple to find the ingredients. It was kind of hard to push to have it be made because a lot of people are used to making it one way. And so I had to force people to kind of go back to nature and just make things from real food. And it seems pretty novel and simple, but for them, they're like, well, why wouldn't you use this super refined ingredient that, costs, a fifth of the price and is super easy to produce, and we'll add all these other things in it to taste really good and get them to eat more. I mean, I was talking to a food recipe developer. They're called food scientists, and he essentially was like, "Well, you want the cereal to stick to their teeth so they taste it and want more." And I'm like, "What?" Like they've done testing on kids to like figure out how to get them to eat more cereal, which is just like kind of sick in my mind. And so it was sort of like doing the opposite of what was being done, applying the autoimmune protocol principles, and just removing all of that junk and replacing it with actual food, was the genesis of it. And the journey of creation was long and winding. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer it. But it was a little challenging to be a one person shop trying to knock on the door of some pretty big places to make this happen. But I think, as Sasha pointed out, like the intent is everything. And I think if you don't have that passion and that purpose, you're just not going to run through those walls. You're not going to knock down those walls. And I think there was a lot of times where I could have given up. And I think I had my passion and purpose fueled by my daughter, and also our cause to fight childhood cancer, that was just like, all right, like this just has to happen, right? And I think we're continuing to grow, and we have some exciting things that we'll be rolling out later this year. But I think really the sky's the limit. And I think with people like yourself on board and the community around it, like we vote with our dollar, we vote with our purchase, we vote with our time. And I think the more people understand that, like change happens step by step, brick by brick. It doesn't happen all at once. And so I'm very optimistic about the future.
Parker, it's like you are speaking our brains. These, I mean, I said it the other day that I love various thoughts, but I love it when a guest comes on that I've never talked to and literally echoes exactly my thoughts, my beliefs, Sasha's as well. When you were
I'm
saying
over here
fiber,
bawling. I'm over here bawling at him.
yeah,
Whew.
when you're talking about real food and fiber and fat, I'm like, yes, 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 steady blood sugar. I tell people all the time, it's the key to your health and happiness.
Hmm.
Steady blood sugar, that is the goal for your life. And people will tell me, oh, what real food is so complicated. I'm like, no. Real food is simple.
Hmm.
Chemicals are very complicated. We have this completely backwards. And, these obstacles that we all face, I always tell people, what's your why? What's your personally meaningful reason for doing hard things? Because if you don't have a good reason, you're not going to do it. As you just, gave testimony to, that there were many, many times where you very easily could have said, this is too hard. I
Hmm.
can't do it. Never mind. but you had that why, and that is something that is going to spur anybody on, no matter what they're trying to achieve. That why is going to be critical. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing all of that.
Definitely. And I mean, I would say one problem I ran into was like I would look at other people and I would see them at the top of their mountain and thinking that I couldn't do it. And so I think it's a little hard to look at Lovebird, and it's still early. We're just over a year old, but we've been able to grow. But I think really it started with me getting serious about small things and small hard things, and whether that was my diet or that was fitness, and just really committing to that and just never, like, for me it's like don't have two bad days in a row, right? Like if you can, everyone's human, we're going to fall down, and that's fine, give yourself grace, but just make sure that you transform those small good things into habits. And I think that ultimately manifested in what Lovebird is today. But like it started with one step. And so I think if there's anybody listening, like realize like to get to the top of the mountain, it starts with one step. And just it could be something as simple as, hey, I'm gonna do, 10 minutes of walking today, or 10 minutes of running, or I'm gonna do really try to avoid gluten or dairy or those things, and just shape the world around you, because everyone is so powerful. And I think through this experience, like I firmly believe that everybody can do amazing things. I think I was my own worst enemy, and as soon as I realized that, it was so much easier to kind of like play the game of life almost, and like figure out the direction I wanted to go, and just with that intent, that passion and purpose, like mold the things I wanted to do. And so I think to some it's like hard to look at someone at a different stage, but just focus on yourself, do the small hard things, and eventually you'll be on top of that mountain too.
My dude, my dude, for real. Thank you.
Yeah,
Like,
listeners, you really need to listen to this on YouTube so that you can watch Sasha's emotion and her cheering and all her body language, because it
like
brings a
what?
whole new dynamic to this conversation. I promise you.
What? Parker, you are so dope, my dude. This is you leaning into your intuition. This is you leaning into your you and saying, I will not stop because this was my mission. This is what I was put on this earth to do. I am here to make a change, but it's not a change in the negative by any means. It's in the change for the positive. It's how can I manipulate what I know and what I have to do something selflessly for this world. Wow. My dude, I'm so thankful for you. And I'm just beyond impressed because this podcast is about finding other like-minded people who are on a journey to become better beings themselves, but not only for themselves but for others. And whew, that's you.
Mm.
I'm so thankful for you. And I'm so thankful for you leaning into that intuition and letting it guide you.
Hmm. But I think what you, and one, thankful for you all to have me, but I think what you pointed out was key. And for a long time, I thought I had to do this alone. And I think that was one of the, if looking back, I wish I would have found community faster. And I think what you both are doing is so important, because I think there's a lot of people who just need to be around others who are like-minded and have that drive, and they're going to do incredible things. But it also works on the flip side, right? Like if you're around not great people, it's harder to do those great things. So I think what you guys are doing, what you both are doing, is wildly important for people to unlock their potential, because like I said, everybody is capable of amazing things. It's just like a belief in yourself and finding a community to help support you and kind of show you how to get started.
Yeah.
So my question to you, I have a question. Where did Lovebird come from?
Ah,
Where did this nickname come from?
yeah, that was an interesting journey. So I had to retrain my marketing brain from the big food company I worked at, where I probably would have named it like Paleo O's or grain-free O's or cassava O's or something. Uh, like you said, the intent, passion, and purpose, but also listening to my intuition. Like I just literally like Lovebirds the name, and I tried to talk myself out of it for like 3 months. And the name really comes from that feeling I felt as a new father, right? That love and protection, and having my daughter reach her potential, which I kind of bubbled up into ascension or flight. And so like Lovebird felt like the perfect thing in terms of a bird protecting their nest, the love of a lovebird, and then also that flight that a lovebird has. And I would say I was like listening to a lot of the Beatles' Blackbird at the time, which has a lyric in it that's like, take these broken wings and learn to fly. And so that was like, I think the emotional side of it. And I was just like, Lovebird is it. I'm not naming it some like tacky marketing name. I wanted it to really capture the feeling of being a new father, and that was just like it. And it was wild, right? Because like intuitively I knew it, rationally I wanted to reject it because I was like, it's who, what does it even mean? It's a bird. I'm trying to sell cereal. If you search Google and do Lovebird, like a bunch of Lovebird food is gonna pop up. Like it wasn't the most like strategic name for it, but it was just like I want to do things differently. I want to do things my way. I want to listen to my intuition, and I still love the name, and it was also a nickname I had for my daughter of Minnie. But that was sort of the journey I came to it. And again, I think it's a example, a story of how just listening to your intuition can kind of, I think, 100% of the time serve you correctly and make you wind up in the right place.
Yeah, well, I
100%.
love it because it stands out, right? Paleo O's,
Hmm.
I, that means nothing to me. I mean, I know what that means, but you say Lovebird, oh yeah, Lovebird cereal. I know what that is.
Yeah.
And it is such a beautiful story. Even the metaphor, take these broken wings, the broken wings of big food,
Hmm.
and I'm going to change it so that we can all fly. I
Hmm.
mean, truly, it's magical, and I love, love, love it. I want to circle back to one other thing where you mentioned about, the small steps and don't have two bad days. I want to make sure that anybody listening understands that you don't go and have to create a fabulous food product to make a change in the world.
Hmm.
You need to make the change in yourself to make the change in the world. You need to take care of yourself. You need to do the hard things for yourself, to eat healthy, to exercise, to get your sleep, to manage your stress, to push through the hard stuff. Those are things that are going to allow you to be a better being for everybody else around you. And that is going to have the ripple effect to change the people that you influence and impact, and they are going to be able to change the people that they influence and impact. So I don't want anyone to think, well, I can't go start a company, or I'm not creative, or I don't have, some scientific knowledge that I can make something better to make everybody healthier in the world. You don't have to do that, but you do have to do your own work,
Hmm.
because unless you are a healthy, happy human, you're not going to be able to support and promote other people to really hopefully change this world in a way that I think would be beneficial.
This is insane. You guys are my favorite. Both of you are absolutely my favorite beings. Like, wow, what a blessing. Parker, question for you. What can we do to best support you?
Yeah, I mean, Lovebirds currently sold on my website. Just by buying a box, you're helping our fight against big food and also our fight against childhood cancer, and just spread the word. Like I said, the community that has emerged around Lovebird of health conscious, change orientated people that want better food for themselves and for their family, and just tell a friend. And it will be rolling out to a large natural organic grocer in June. And so keep your eyes open for that. But in the meantime, you can find it on my website, on Amazon. If you're in the Southern California market, it's at Erewhon Market there. But yeah, just join the mission, join Lovebird, and we can rise and fly and make a big difference.
I love it. I know personally I am excited to try it. Get just before we wrap up, tell us a few of like the tasty flavors, and other than just eating it with a bowl in the morning, what else do you do with Lovebird cereal?
Absolutely. And I think there's been a few kind of what I call new junk food cereals that have come out that are like really keto focused, and they use a lot of shortcuts and kind of the new wave of fake things, right? Like I think Atkins was really big a few maybe 10, 15 years ago, and like now kind of keto big food has embraced it as like the new Atkins. And so you're seeing a lot of products pop up. And what sets Lovebird apart is just the real food ingredients. And so there's no natural high potency sweeteners that are 400 times more sweet than table sugar that kind of get you to overeat. Um, So the flavors are really simple. It's just honey, sweetened by honey and a little coconut sugar, cinnamon as well, and then unsweetened, which is if you like plain cereal, think of it as like plain Cheerios. And then there's a new flavor of cacao that has come out in January that people seem to really love, more of a dark chocolate crunch to it. But like I said at the beginning, like you can have clean ingredient food that tastes great. You don't have to sacrifice health for taste. You can have both. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Lovebird. And I think the community of health focused people also love health focused recipes. So there's been countless recipes that people have made with Lovebird that continue to blow my mind, from, no Rice Krispie treats made with grain-free Lovebird, to pie crust, to kind of a trail mix, to Chex Mix kind of thing going on. Like I've been blown away. All the websites, all the recipes are on my website, or you can check us out on at Eat Lovebird on Instagram, where all the recipes are posted too. But it's limitless. It provides that crunch. You can kind of grind it up into a flour and coat chicken tenders with it. People have gotten really creative, and I'm really excited to see what they think of next.
I love that. I posted on my Instagram that people should stalk your Instagram because it is so on point. It says everything I think. Most people by now know I'm not a fan of social media. I'm not good at it. So I will just continue to, ride on the coattails of people who post really awesome stuff. And I was reading some of the way people use it. And I think it's fantastic. I'm so grateful that you've come on here, and grateful to Sasha for being the one who has looked you up and found you, and just brought all of us together. Because I think this is a really important conversation, important for people to understand that a food manufacturer's job is to sell food.
Hmm.
Your job is to determine if that is food that you want to put into your body.
100%.
Yep. Sasha, I'm going to let you close us out today.
You guys, so I don't know if I've ever closed anything out like this before. I honestly and humbly thank you so much, Parker. Thank you for forging the path. What you are doing now is only inviting people to join you. And it could be someone who, is older or younger, or it doesn't matter. There is no limit to the age. Whether the limit is in that belief, and figuring out what is your truth, what is your purpose, what is your intent, and then how can you take your time, talent, and treasures and plug them together. And when you do that, and when you are practicing yourself fully and to your full potential, not only will you be able to impact your own life, and the lives around you, but who knows? Who knows what you're called to do? No, you might not go out and make a granola bar or a new fancy whatever it is, but you will find your purpose, and that will help be that change that we need here in this world, that positive influence, that positive change. So no matter what happens out there, you guys, no matter what is going on in your world now, hang tight, hold on to that attitude of gratitude, and figure out your you. Lean into that intuition and be bold enough to say no. I don't care how people do it. This is the way I was told to do it. Thank you, Parker. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being you.
Absolutely. Thank you both for having me. I learned a ton on this conversation, and I would just add, I have an open door, so if anybody has questions about starting a food company, or my journey, just reach out to me on Instagram. My email address is on there, and I answer all of the direct messages as well. So if you have any questions, I've already talked to a lot of different people, and I just think people need to understand, like, this is a path and they have the change within them. And as you said, Sasha, it's just about unlocking it and saying no to the way it's been done and do it the way you want to do it.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Parker. You absolutely are a true better being. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this. I hope you take it in. Whatever you found in our conversation, do something with it.
Thank you for listening to the Be a Better Being podcast. Michelle and Sasha hope that what you heard today inspires you to embrace this journey of life with an open mind, a kind heart, and a willingness to learn and evolve. If you enjoyed the content, please help spread their message by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. If you have a show topic idea or would like to be a guest, please visit betterbeings.net and fill out a contact form. Until next time, go and be a better being.